Guys, let's talk about those dark daddies. Let's talk about Daddy getting out his belt.
Oh, no.
Let's talk about the best antagonist.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Actually, we might have some of the cuddliest antagonists on this list, because antagonist doesn't necessarily mean villain. It doesn't necessarily mean a bad person. But on this list, we've got Reinhard from Legend of the Galactic Heroes.
Yup.
Yep. Albert from Lupin the Third. Yuri from Megalobox. Tone from Aggretsuko. Surumi from Golden Kamuy, the one I keep calling Lieutenant Crazyface.
Yeah.
And All for One from My Hero Academia.
Oh, my God. Oh, my actual God. Wait, this was the cuddliest?
Not all the cuddliest. I said some of the cuddliest.
Like, one of them is
talking
cuddly.
Yuri.
Yeah.
Yuri, and a little Reinhard.
Yeah. Tiny bit Reinhard.
Yep.
Yeah.
When he brushes that hair away from your face.
Right. Fuck. Yeah, absolutely. 100%
I forgot
fuck.
Reinhard was on the list.
Yep.
And the second you said that, I was like, oh, shit. I was ready to just talk about Yuri.
All right, so let's take a moment for the write-off.
Okay.
Tone. Because Tone is fantastic in his own show. He's a great antagonist. I love him. I'm not going to try and force him to vote for Tone. We've got a billion other great villains here, great antagonists.
Yeah.
But if we can take a moment to talk about Tone without going too much.
Absolutely.
Tone is so good because he is the epitome of the older boss that you hate because he is of a time.
Yep.
He is of a place. He is been in that position so long that he can't break out of his own habits, his own mindset, and he feels like the world owes him for all the work that he's done. But he is also out there to beat his everyone that works under him into being better employees, even though that's not necessarily going to work. He knows one way to get things done, and he sticks to that. He's way more multifaceted than he comes up at first, which is all Aggretsuko is about. Yeah. Aggretsuko is about introducing a character that you think you understand what they're about, and then pulling that rug out from under you. Because no, you're not allowed to have preconceived notions about your other employees, your coworkers, right. Because that is something that leads you to despair. That's what leads you to think everyone else is at fault and not you. And that's what Aggretsuko is about. It's about self-introspection and figuring out what your problems are and moving beyond them. Tone is a great antagonist for that, and you learn that over the course of the series.
And Tone does that very rare thing that I love every time it happens, where it takes this one-dimensional villain, this terrible person, gives them something extra, some reason, some depth, but never quite comes to the level of redeeming them. Because that's the easiest thing in the world is, oh, they really care all along. They're really a good person. No, he's kind of not.
Yeah, and while there are definitely redeeming qualities about him, things that make you understand him, and he does help from time to time, yeah, he's kind of a bad person. And that has to do with how he's grown in his position, and that's why he's such a compelling character. You're right. He never reaches that point of like, yeah, I want to root for Tone.
Nope.
But you also come to understand him more, and that's good.
Yeah, you realize, and this is funny to say about an animated show, but he's not a cartoon character. He's not a parody. He's not this boss who, through some quirk of fate, wound up in a position of authority. There's a reason why he's there. There's a reason why he's risen to the level he is and no higher.
I like hearing that because from the first episode impression, I was like, okay, so that's the setup. I get it. This is the Yucks show.
Yeah, and that's very much this show's MO, is presenting everything on that very surface level, and then going a step beyond, and then maybe even a step beyond that.
This is why I call it like baby's first BoJack Horseman. Yeah, it's like PG-13 BoJack Horseman in that it gives you the premise, and then very quickly is like, all right, now here's where you made the mistake, and it's so good. I'm so happy about that myself. Yeah. But I think we can agree, Tone, cool, but
he's Like maybe a strong third, but I don't think he reaches the winner runner-up level.
Should we, if we're on the roll of talking about characters that he hasn't seen, should we also tackle All for One?
Probably.
All right, so
Because that's another character that is not quite. He's maybe on the spectrum between one sympathetic villain that you sort of root for and absolute monster who's just the worst. He's way closer to absolute monster.
in fact, I wholeheartedly believe that there is no redeeming qualities about him, which is okay for me.
I would counter to that his relationship with Bad Touch, Face Guy.
His relationship with Bad Touch, though, is interesting and definitely compelling, but it is not a redeeming quality.
It's not a redeeming quality in the sense that it does not redeem him as a character.
Oh, but it gives him depth.
Yeah.
Because where he's an absolute monster, he also is multifaceted in that. He has different ways. Like, he cares about Shigaraki, like, legitimately. But in a way that he sees in, like... So we've talked. If we want to talk about the mentordom of
All Might and Deku
versus All for One and
Shigaraki. Yep.
you have a very different dynamic of people that care about them, but for different reasons.
Yeah. And in different ways.
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting because you see the different ways that they teach them, and that's so cool. Like, you can see where their styles of mentoring differ, and it's great, and it's beautiful, and that's what makes. If All for One didn't have that relationship with Shigaraki, he'd just be like
Darth Vader.
He's just basically Darth Vader, and that would have been boring.
Yeah.
But here we see. And not to mention, and don't want to go too much into spoilers, but his relationship with All for One, like, there's a past there. Like, the reason I don't
One for
want,
All, you mean?
Yeah, One for All. Well, with All Might, his relationship with All Might is so good because you see how his history affects All Might, sorry, I don't want to spoil this because I'm not sure how many people on here have seen. Like, you might just tune into, I don't know how many people who are watching this tune into our
My Hero
segment. And there's a big spoiler that I don't want to touch, but there's a history that goes beyond just Deku and Shigaraki and All Might. And he's an imposing presence. He's multifaceted. He has fingers in different pies, and his relationship with Shigaraki is very good. It's the driving force of All for One.
Yeah. That said, I don't think, like, that is the one redeeming quality, the one interesting quality, the one bit of complexity. I think there are other characters on this list that have stuff like that, but more.
Yes, absolutely.
Can I throw this out there?
Oh.
Yes.
I think All for One is the most boring person on this list.
You know, he besides having a really cool voice. I mean, I love the guy who's playing him in English. I haven't heard him much in Japanese. Having this really imposing presence. Like, the moment he shows up on scene, it's crazy. But yeah, he's over more in that full monster territory. So yeah, he is a little boring. I mean, the stuff that he does is crazy and cool, but yeah.
I feel like just by himself.
As I said,
Tone's more. I'm gonna be an asshole. I think Tone's more interesting.
Actually, yes. No, I would put Tone. Funny, I would put Tone from Aggretsuko as a better antagonist than All for One.
Agreed.
And don't at me.
You can at me. Come on, bring it. Give it. Give me. Yeah, feed me. Let's talk about Albert from Lupin the Third.
I'm not really sure there's much to talk about with, because Albert has got a really cool voice and he beats Lupin, and those are two things that are pretty cool. Also, he's gay.
Yeah.
And actually is gay.
Yeah, I'm not gonna look. I'm sorry. I'm not gonna be Mr. I need my gay characters, but it is really, really nice to have a standout gay character who's not a bad person. He's definitely a rogue. You know, he's what do you call it?
As much as Lupin is.
Yeah, but as much as Lupin. So if you're rooting for Lupin, you want to root for Albert too, because they help each other. It's obvious he cares about Lupin. The cutthroatness only goes to a certain extent.
Yeah. And the fact that they have a past together is cool to see.
I still think that was really interesting.
Yeah,
Whereas, for as much as I didn't like shit, as much as I feel like there was so much shit going on with the Albert story, that isolated bit was amazing. I love that.
Also, they fought a leopard man together.
Yes,
They did. That is still a standout. Like, what is the story with that? And I remember at first I'm like, wait, so was it an actual leopard man? And looking at that ghost story, I'm like, no, it was probably actually a leopard man. That's weird. But yeah, it's...
Yeah, but he's also every noir antagonist who seems invincible until he's not, and then teams up with the protag. It's a character type that he does well.
Yeah.
it's a very James Bondy
Yeah.
thing he's got going on, but I think he did it well.
So we've now got Reinhard, Yuri, and Tsurumi.
All right. I don't think Tsurumi hangs with the other two.
I don't think he does either.
I didn't want to be the one to say it, but I'm glad we agree.
But-
No, because
but-
I think he is just the whole, like, the segment where Sugimoto is captured by his platoon, and we see the dongo through the cheek, and him, the horse has fallen, and he is still running, and him playing the piano, just being every single 11th degree character he can be in all the right ways. In a cast full of everybody dialed up to 15, he is so entertaining, and by his past and his crazy face he's got going on, that my brain lobe is falling off, so I'm crazy. Like,
Yep.
it's so fun.
He is fantastic.
He is great.
Like, how do I put this? He is exactly the kind of villain that a show like this needs.
Exactly.
He is a sadistic, terrifying force of will with a great design, and the things that he does to other people don't feel as gratuitous as they could, because you just see this craziness there. You see an instability. You see a monster made, like, a monster who is barely contained in this human skin.
Yeah.
And his attitude about it is he almost never gets angry. And that's the
Yeah.
part that's so unsettling about him, is that he does all these things with this, like, similar look in his eyes. He's always got either this grin or this, okay, oh no, all right.
Yeah.
And it's like whenever he stops smiling, it's like someone's gonna die.
Yeah.
Like, someone is about to die, and that's the great part about him. Like, again, the dongo through the cheek, cutting off the other ear of that guy. It's talking into it. I'm like, wearing the skin suit. He wears the
right, he
skin
wears
as a
skin suit.
suit.
Yeah.
He's
what's his face from that one, he's the guy from the Rebellion in Galactic Heroes, just hitting everybody left and right.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
He's
yeah,
just
but
him done better.
yeah, well, kind of, because he's not nearly as emotional.
No.
Like, that was the downfall of that other dude, is that his sadism was unbound and not
Yeah.
controlled. Whereas the sadism of Tsurumi is always kind of this, well, I need what I need out of you, and I'm going to do exactly what I need to do to get it, which, sometimes involves cutting a guy's ear off. And I love the fact that, okay, the ear doesn't work. Okay, I'm not just going to keep torturing him. I'm going to figure out what he wants. And then he's like, I'll let you kill Sugimoto. And that does it. And that shows you not only does he use violence as a way to solve his issues, he uses manipulation in a great, simple manner. And,
And he also has that, I don't want to undersell how well, like, how he is so articulate as well, like when he's talking, because it's like, for the longest time we were like, why the fuck are people following this guy? Then we get that episode of, like, they were all just shafted by the military. They didn't get fucking anything, and they're not going to get anything from the government for it. And they have this one guy who says, hey, follow me, we'll get something. And we kind of see him doing a bit of his oration for a bit, like, okay, I get why you're following him. I wouldn't, but, like, I get it. I get why he has command over people, and it's not just because he's insane and he thinks like they're gonna be killed, like, because he is the one who is, I will do fucking anything to get this shit, and I know we've all been screwed over, and we're in it together.
And specifically war veterans,
Yeah.
who are just coming off of doing
One of the
horrible
most-
things and having horrible things done to them. You can sort of see why what he's about. You already feel complicit in it. It's the frog, you know. It gets a little hotter and a little hotter and a little hotter, and before you know it, you're cutting people's ears and noses off, and it doesn't even seem strange or outside of.
It's sort of interesting because I 100% could see the guy who wrote Rurouni Kenshin writing these characters worse.
Yeah.
And that's what that like, and I like the characters in Rurouni Kenshin, but they're also just that extra shonen step up of being like, okay, that's not a human being, but it's still a fun character.
Yeah.
This is within that realms of like, this is a monstrous human, and I'm not gonna lie to you, I feel like we've done that thing again where we've talked a character up into the realm where originally I thought they weren't, because now I'm like, okay, so our other antagonists are Yuri and Reinhardt, and at this moment I'm kind of like.
Okay, so let's put Tsurumi to the side for a second, and let's talk. I don't want to do the thing where we build them up and then say, but they don't hang because of this. Instead, let's talk about why Reinhard.
The flashback episode with him was one of the most interesting things for me. I loved seeing how his relationship with Kierheis was built on everything about Reinhardt is genuine. He is not a person doing that. He is not a cartoonish villain. He is such a he is the villain, yes, but he is just the other half of this story that historically, and because of the way it's presented, he's the villain. He's the bad guy because they're the Empire, but he wants everything in this empire taken down. Like he has his own agency. He is the driving force for the conflict of the show. And every time he is like, and right before they do the final conflict, or when they cut off the resources and shit in the second to last episode, he's talking up everybody like, we're going to do something awesome. We're going to do this together. And he has such a good way of bringing everything good out of people next to him. And in a way that doesn't feel manipulative. Like, he's manipulating people because he wants that. But then when he's like in the room with Oberstein for a bit and they're just kind of talking, he's like, I know what you want. Just let me in, man. You know I'm good. And then just seeing them go back and forth and seeing how he has no fear. And I think he knows that Yang is someone he can't really fuck with, but he's not afraid because he has this one vision. It's not a cartoonish vision of just like, I want to do this amazing thing. I want to topple this tyranny that's been here because I know I can do it better. And he has personal stakes with his sister on the line, basically. And seeing like that she's silenced by being betrothed to the Kaiser, and scenes we've seen with him, and it's just like, oh shit, he is walking a dangerously thin line.
I'm sad that we haven't seen more of his sister.
I know.
Agreed.
I'm glad that we're gonna get more. I just wish it wasn't gonna be like next summer
I
in
know.
OVAs.
Yeah.
But I feel like Reinhard was easily the best character of that whole show. Every time he was there, it was always something intriguing. And seeing when he was crushing that rebellion, and you see all the other generals talking about him, like, oh man, he's a little scary, but he knows what he's doing. And you see everyone like kind of talking shit about him, and he just cuts them down so easily. I love the presence he has when he's on screen. I'm like, what do you got? What are you gonna do?
Yeah, I would have to agree. Although for me, one of my favorite parts about Legends of Galactic Heroes is not necessarily his story stuff, but a lot of the conflict, the interpersonal politics, and how they affect war. Because that is very currently. And maybe always, as I get older, that stuff becomes more interesting to me, and seeing it done well means a lot.
Yeah.
When you have something like Reinhardt, it's a little bit more. They're trying to play him a little bit more old school, again with the Empire and the Kingdom and all that. He's playing more Game of Thrones politics.
Yeah.
While I feel like we've got more West Wing and House of Cards. with
Yeah.
the Alliance. And that's why when when you compare the two of them, I love Reinhardt as a character and I love his dynamic with everybody else. But for me, I'm a little bit more invested in the Alliance's side, even though Yang is a less interesting character to me.
I think it's so hard to compare Reinhardt to anybody else on this list because Reinhardt has the built-in advantage of being, as of the time that we stopped watching, because there was no more to watch, he is this looming threat. He is still, that's a story that is still actively going, and I can't wait to see what happens next.
Yeah.
So he looms large in my mind. What's he going to do next? What's going to happen in this grand scale chess game between him and Yang?
Yeah.
And you compare that with, say, Yuri, whose story has concluded, and it's hard to make an apples to apples comparison between the two.
It really is. And I feel like we're getting, I guess, kind of what happened with like talking about Usurpa earlier is like I feel like everything is set up for him to be incredible. Like I can't wait to see what happens next. I am so intrigued and I am all my chips on the board to see what's going to happen with them. But
I really do have to wonder if the mangaka, the writer for Death Note, did actually take inspiration from Kirihise and Yang.
dude, right?
Because-
I totally got that vibe too.
Because, and I'm not going to be the guy like, wow, they remind me of, these characters remind me of Light and L. I mean, no, I'm wondering if the mangaka, because they actually share a lot of qualities. Kirihise isn't deranged and Yang isn't quirky, which, if I had to be honest, is not necessarily a judgment to the characters, but they do come off as a little shallow in their characterization from time to time. That's why it's difficult for me to give it necessarily to Reinhardt, because while he's this commanding force and he's got these opportunities to be awesome, he hasn't had many opportunities to really do his thing. We've only seen it like once or twice. Whereas, with Tsunami, we've seen him like go crazy and be wild and be incredibly entertaining. He's just a little too cartoony in terms of especially in comparison to the other two.
Yeah, and I think ultimately that's more of just a personal judgment call, because I don't think it's bad to be a cartoony, wacky dude, and I think it's really cool to see someone as human as Reinhardt in the role he's in, because I feel like I know people like that.
Yeah, I think what you were saying about how he manipulates people, it's a kind of manipulation that does not become weaker when you see through it.
Yeah.
I just got back from spending a weekend with a good friend and personal mentor who manipulates me constantly. Constantly. And I see it, and I see right through it. Okay, I see what you're trying to get me to do. But what he's trying to get me to do is always to build me up as a person, to make me more competent and effective, because he would rather have a more competent and effective person as his friend, as his mentee, as somebody he might be able to work with, as somebody who he might be able to send his daughter to intern with for 10 weeks last summer.
Yeah. Do you see bits of that with him and Kirihise?
I think so, but like a dark mirror of that.
Yeah.
because my mentor, who I still call my mentor, has started just introducing me as his friend. He is bringing me up to the level of equals in his mind, and I'm trying to meet him on that level.
Yeah.
With Reinhardt and Kirihise, he's definitely trying to build him up. I could never imagine Reinhardt saying, "This is my friend," with the built-in connotation of "this is my equal. We're going to sit on these two side-by-side thrones." Kirihise will always be a level below him.
He's just a little under, yeah.
Yep.
It's tough.
Yep.
And then you have Yuri.
Yep.
So Yuri is one of my favorite characters just in this whole season, because of his, like, again, that's one of the great things, is his breakout from being just this big tough guy to having to being a force of a person. Again, he drives Joe to be better, and he sees a light that he had let go through Joe.
Yeah. And seeing him rekindle that and just embrace it wholeheartedly in the penultimate episode is maybe one of my favorite things I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Like, just him going, take it off. If I die, I don't deserve it. Like, God, that's so good. And just, oh, man. Just him and Joe together in the last episode is just, that is what good pro-tag-antag conflicts look like to me.
And the fact how he interacts with other antagonists, like Mikio, where he punches and Mikio blocks, and he's like, "Was that you?
Yeah.
Or was that Ace?" And it's like, "I am Ace. Shut up, you."
Yeah.
Yeah, the way that he is constantly challenging everyone around him to come up to his level, to be a worthy opponent for him, to be like, that line is so thin between antagonist and friend.
Yeah.
He's certainly a rival.
Yep.
He takes that rival spot with pleasure. The moment he realizes that, like, oh wait, shit, this kid could go far. Like, I love that. I love where he tells Yukiko, like, don't underestimate this kid. Don't you dare, not for a moment. Like, and then he goes up there and he tells Joe, like, get the fuck up, dude. What are you doing here?
Yeah, that moment I think really helped elevate him in my mind too.
Yeah.
Just how he is the one pushing for the challenge, because that is what he needs. Like, that's probably like the underlying thing is like, I need this. Sure, that's selfish, but you need this too. And we need each other, please.
Yeah, and it's never no, get down below me, back where you belong. It's oh my God, this person might be surpassing me. I need to rise up to that level.
Yeah.
I need to accept that challenge now.
Because he tells Joe, like, this isn't my ring. If you want to fight me again, if you want to do this, you've got to get to my ring. And it's not, and he never tells, yeah, you're right. He never says, stay where you belong. It's, if you can do it, bring it, bitch. And the bitch brings it.
Yep.
And the fact that I really can't undersell how important it was that he lost the gear for the final fight for me. Like that.
Yeah.
That I
and what he had
coming.
to go through in I mean, I saw it coming, like, yeah, of course, that's what happens. They have to fight each other on equal terms.
Yeah.
But the way it happens, where he wrecked himself to do that, where he destroyed his body and went through incredible pain and sacrifice in a show that's all about pain and sacrifice.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because I feel like until that point, it was evident that everyone else is losing shit except for Yuri. He is on top, and he's waiting to someone else to come up to him. But he's like, oh no, I need to elevate myself because Joe is already up here. And
Well,
like, oh, it's so cool.
What did Yukiko lose? Oh, wait, her love.
Guys, I think this might be Yuri Reinhardt.
I think Yuri Reinhardt.
Yuri Reinhardt's not a bad pick.
Because I want to return to Surumi for a bit. I think Surumi his entertainment value is greater than Reinhardt's. I think my excitement and thrill for him on the screen is probably greater than when Reinhardt's there. But as a character of fiction, I think Reinhardt is written incredibly well.
Yeah.
And I just think the only reason we haven't seen more of that is because there's not more to see.
Yeah.
because we got a lot of alliance development. I feel like this is a very alliance heavy opener, and I can't wait to see more Empire shit.
But it's difficult because I know. So one of the things I don't like about award shows sometimes is that they don't capture the spirit of the community. And I can see that the community is probably not as hot on Reinhardt as they would be on Tsurumi. I could see that. I can see that a lot of those people are probably out there like, yes, Tsurumi is so much fun and so sadistic and crazy and weird. And a lot of people probably aren't all that into Reinhardt. So anybody out there who's feeling like he's kind of not getting his due,
Discord.gg/Team 4-Star. There's a fan poll on there right now. You can go and vote for what you want, and we can have a popularity contest.
Yeah.
We are having a popularity contest. Actually, we are not. the fans have put that together, and good on you.
Yeah, no, that's a good idea.
Because that's
you know what?
exactly. I think there is, and I say that kind of flippantly. Yeah, if we want to have a fucking popularity contest, no, there is value in knowing who has had the greatest impact,
Yeah,
the broadest.
And that's important to me as well, because I feel like impact is something that gets lost a lot. Like there are so many Oscar award-winning Best Pictures that were so boring and had no cultural impact.
Oh, totally.
And I think it's important to realize what characters have that impact. But I will say, when you want to talk about characters that have cultural impact, Legend of the Galactic Heroes is a classic. And just because it's not big in America, it's huge in Japan. Like it's a long-running story that spans several novels, and its original OVA was a huge deal. Yuri. In fact, if I had to be honest with you, I would put Tsunami above Yuri, not because I feel like Yuri is a bad character at all. In fact, he's one of my favorite characters this season. But I feel like he is also a character that is less entertaining and more done more than Tsunami.
I get what you're saying. I don't know if I'd agree with it, but I do understand what you're saying. That Yuri is something we have seen before. Yuri is a character that has, because in a show full of tropes, he's been there. But I feel like I honestly think it's the ending that makes him that much bigger for me.
Absolutely. Like I said as much at one point. Oh, he's the noble demon. We've seen this a million times.
Yeah.
We haven't seen what happened in that last episode a million times.
Yeah.
And he's not even necessarily the noble demon, because there's nothing malicious about him. He's more akin to like a knight from another kingdom, and it's so interesting to see him meet Joe on level. And
I think there was a tone of maliciousness early on, like the first 3 or 4 episodes.
I think that's perceived. Here's the thing. I think that perception is not grounded in reality. It's more about how the show presents him, very specifically to put him up as this oh yeah, he's the bad guy. But then you find out that no, he's not the bad guy. He's a guy who's just from another life, from another what do you put it? How do I put it? Like another world, basically, beyond Joe. Again, when I say in another kingdom, it's kind of exactly that. He's a knight versus a peasant, and that's where they meet as equals. Because in the ring, everyone's an equal.
And that was very much, that is part of the code of chivalry. You do not face a lesser opponent with, if we're fighting on horseback, we fight on horseback. If you get knocked off your horse, I come down. And we fight on foot.
I think the most interesting thing about Yuri's character is honestly in the last 2 episodes. So I think it can be personal just how much that ending did for you, but the more I think about that final episode, the more I love it.
Yep.
And I just think seeing Yuri to be the one who is now crippled, but he has gained so much out of that. And he has gained a new lease on life because all these people have lost everything. And he's like, he had something to lose too, but they all gained so much more through it.
Yep. And seeing him as fully part of this community that's come together, where before all he had was Yukiko.
Yeah.
Also, it's shout out to Yukiko.
Yeah.
She was also a fantastic character who I only wish could have gotten a little bit more.
Yeah, I agree.
Her storyline was one of the ones that actually kept me kind of captivated, and that the last words that she says as she's driving away, "I loved you," is so sad and
But when you see when you contrast that to what we always saw Yuri as, just in a dark room by himself with maybe his dog, how much better is it now that he's in a wheelchair now, but he's gained so much more that really matters to him.
And it feels earned. So much fiction, so much anime has that that redemption of the rival and the bad guy who's also a friend, that feels like, what the fuck are you talking about? He murdered that whole village and raped the main character's sister, and now everybody's cool.
Yeah, thanks, Sasuke.
Yes, in fact.
You know, the worst thing about no, I'm not talking about Sasuke. I'm not doing it. Not touching that. But yeah, there's unfortunately for me, I'm never gonna be like, as much as I love Yuri as a character, I'm never gonna be on the same page that you were, because for me, the predictability of it did kind of take it down a notch. I know for other people, and good on you if something being predictable doesn't take down a notch for you. But for me, Yuri, I could predict. Well, I did predict basically what was going to happen. Him being in a wheelchair, I didn't see that coming. I did not, and I wasn't sure who was going to win that final fight. That was always going to be up in the air. But I knew, I could tell what was going to happen with Joe and Yuri up until the last punch. So maybe that's why I'm a little more hesitant. Maybe that's why he didn't wow me as much as he did you guys. Even though, again, I love him. If it's a top 3, for me, he's at 3. But that being said, you know, that being said, I don't know what else to say.
I really think the last half of the final episode is what pushes him that extra degree for me.
Well,
yeah, but that and the scene in the cabin.
And just the penultimate episode. I love it.
Yeah, like you say, I could see what happened. I could see it beat for beat. I never saw that done the way it is, with the thematic through line and parallels with the protagonists.
I will say I saw him taking off the gear. The gear. I did not see the suffering coming, but again, that was interesting to me, but it never moved me as much as it moved you guys. So. But again, if you guys want to go, Reinhard Yuri, he's still my number 3, so I'm not going to get like all butthurt over here about it.
I feel like I'd be Yuri Reinhard.
I feel like I would be too.
Or is it Yuri Reinhard for you guys?
Yeah.
Well, if you guys want to do that too, then because if Reinhard, if I had to be honest with you, is also one of those characters where I'm like, you are so good when you get the time, but he rarely. That's one of my problems, that he rarely got the time.
And I guess I see it and I know it's there and I can tell, but everything done with him, the little that we got, is done so well. Just the scene with him and Oberstein and Kierheis in the room, like that was so compelling to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think check back in with me after we've got those OVAs, and I might sing a different tune. But for now, based on what we've got only within this season, I think it's Yuri Reinhard.
I like that.
Congratulations, Best Antagonist, Spring 2018, Yuri from Megalobox. Runner-up, Reinhard from Legend of the Galactic Heroes. Guys, we talked a lot about characters. We talked a lot about individual characters. Let's talk about groups of characters. Let's talk about Best Ensemble. The show that, overall, looking at the whole cast, had it going on. So we've got some nominees written down. We've got Hinamatsuri. We've got Golden Kamuy. We've got Legend of the Galactic Heroes. Lupin III. Aggretsuko. Megalobox, and My Hero Academia.
So I was actually talking with my pregame partner, Gavin, and he was like, okay, so are we just talking like the best full-on cast, like the ratio of good characters to bad characters, or are we talking about how well they interact with each other, like the best synergy of the whole cast?
That one.
Oh, really?
I would say.
Okay.
Because otherwise, like, what's the point of an ensemble if it's just everybody having little individual scenes where they never interact?
Yeah, no, that's fair. It's just, okay. So
Hinamatsuri number 1.
Hinamatsuri is a pretty strong contender for this.
I will not budge. Hinamatsuri number 1.
I'm looking at this list, trying to see if I have any arguments against them, and I'm coming up blank. I'm all about it. Hinamatsuri, you take any 2 of those characters and put them together.
Put them in a room.
I'm interested to see what happens.
There was only one pairing that I continuously didn't get anything out of, and that was actually Hina Hitomi. They were the one pairing that I just constantly felt like was falling like it didn't seem like there was much reason to. Well, okay, I think the biggest reason was that Hina never got to be fully herself with Hitomi.
I feel like they were only actually put together like twice, once near the beginning and once near the end.
Yeah, and those were both like some of my least favorite segments with Hina and Hitomi. But I'm just pointing that out now because if that's my one flaw out of that cast, yep, that's it. Because otherwise, Anzu, Hitomi,
Anzu, anybody,
Utako, Hitomi, Utako, Nita, Utako, Nita, Hina, Nita, Anzu was amazing.
Yeah.
Like, anytime any of these characters interact, they find a different way to synergize almost perfectly, and it's so good.
Nita's family.
Yep.
Nita, Hina. Hina and their friends from school. Hina and that one girl who wanted to have the psychic powers. Mao.
Oh, Mao. Oh, Mao, you
That
poor...
whole episode of Castaway and talking to her Winston ass coconuts.
Okay. We've tried the best. Now let's try the rest.
All right. So, okay.
So let's see if we can find some easy cuts here. Legend of the Galactic Heroes has a couple of interesting characters and a whole lot of names.
Yeah.
Okay, so if we want to take a look at Legend of Galactic Heroes, one of the things that we had to realize was a lot of these characters don't mean anything. They're literally just dressing and they're moving cogs, while the important characters, whenever they interact, they usually get something really neat out of their interactions. That's the one cool thing about it. Like Oberstein always kind of gets these neat interactions with whoever he's playing off of, especially with Kierheis and Reinhardt. Then you also have, like, Yang is one of those interesting characters where he kind of absorbs stuff from other people. He's kind of patient and works with them. Like, I love his relationship with Julian. I love his relationship with and how he gets, like, how he meets and how he develops with the blonde girl, the Admiral's daughter. We see these. They work very well together. Every main character, when they meet, has this different purpose and different role. But they're never. I don't think they're ever quite that lively or entertaining. They're just interesting and help move the plot in different ways and develop the characters in different ways.
I think it's hard to color that ensemble with what we have so far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there is so much table dressing with so many plots. Done in a good way, I want to add. I feel like the pacing, it was deliberately paced in a way to set up everything. I never had a problem with it.
You know what? What they've done is they've thrown confetti at us, and now we're just trying to see, like, at a board covered with glue, and now as all the confetti is falling, we're waiting for what's left there, this picture.
Yeah, exactly. Because we also have Yang's best friend that died, and then his fiance that now she was running for office and everything. Like, whole bunch of characters doing a lot of interesting things. The guy that runs the Dominion of Fezzen was really interesting. Can't remember his name. Like, with many people, I can't remember a lot of their names with the show. Walter, I think his name was
President Baldburns.
And there was the one guy on the Alliance side. I can't remember. He had the German name.
Falk?
Oh, wait. Are you talking about the spy?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, Captain Bad Boy.
Yeah, Captain Bad Boy.
Yep.
Love him.
I liked him. He had probably the most personality of anyone in the Alliance.
Yeah.
But
by kind of a margin.
Anytime, like, the two scenes we had with the Kaiser, I'm like, oh, I love this dude.
Oh, yeah, guys.
he's
like,
great.
Anybody that's going to take me down, they fucking deserve it. Let's go. Like, oh, that was great.
And there's so many different ways to read that, and they're all entertaining.
Yeah, and I think it is setting up for a lot of very promising things, but insofar as comparing it to other 12-episode casts we have here, I'm not sure it stands.
I would tend to agree.
Can I put up an argument for the girls from Comic Girls?
No, you may not.
So Aggretsuko has an amazing supporting cast. I don't think it quite rises to the level of an amazing ensemble because all of them are there as a supporting cast. They all radiate out from the main character. It's very much a personal story from her point of view. We don't get anybody else's story.
Yeah, we don't. The entire story is, you see, the only other character that you really get a story about is Haida. He's the only character who gets asides, because nobody else does. Like, the only time you see that where it's not from Retsuko's perspective are like little cutaways to show characters like plotting something or discovering something, but it's never, okay, now we've switched whole perspectives, except for with Haida. That being said, what a great cast of characters. What a fun, multifaceted cast of characters that just, I love them. I love Haida. I love Feneko. I love Tone. I even love that fucking piece of shit Meerkat. Mm-hmm. And oh my god, we haven't even talked about Iwashi and Gori.
Yeah.
Iwashi and Gori are actually they appear very early on as these untouchable characters who you expect to continue to be untouchable, but they actually become a mainstay of the cast. I don't want to spoil it too much because I love what becomes of them. But Gori is this gorilla, and Iwashi is a secretary bird, and she's the secretary of the owner of the company that they all work at, and it's super good. And they're amazing. They are actually the kind of standout characters in the roles that they have, but also the characters that come with them. Oh my god. But yeah, you're right. If you want to talk about how,
yeah, and that's not a flaw in the show. That is the show doing what it sets out to do very, very well.
Yeah.
The fact that they're interesting at all is when they didn't need to be, is only a big thumbs up.
Yeah. So I'm gonna set that aside for now, because I still think it's got runner-up potential personally. But.
Well, let's see what else we've got here. Let's talk about Lupin the Third. I think that Jigen and Goemon are awesome and largely underserved.
Yep, agreed.
Yeah.
Even in the episode where even in the episode that we get about Goemon, he's still not much of a character, if I had to be completely honest with you. I like Goemon, I like Jigen. If I want to see really good Goemon stuff, Goemon's got a fantastic movie out, The Blood Splash of Goemon Ishikawa. And when it comes, and Jigen's got Jigen's gravestone or tombstone or something. The grave of Jigen. They've got better movies out there. This series is not about them, and it doesn't really try to be about them. It's mostly about Lupin, Bit Fujiko, and the story surrounding that. I mean, then again, that's Lupin. So.
Yeah. Again, this is not a criticism, but at some point we got to cut something.
Yeah. And so, as much as I love the Lupin gang, good shit. Yeah, I wouldn't try to.
Let's talk about Golden Kamuy, which has among the protagonists some amazing characters.
Yes.
Among some of the minor characters that just pop up for an episode or two, amazing. Mm-hmm. Also has a lot of identical puppet faces.
A little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Although that being said, as the series goes on, more of them have endeared themselves to me in great ways.
Yeah.
The only character I'm just not getting on board with is Mr. Shinsen Gumi dude.
I came to appreciate him a little more just by virtue of his sheer wackiness. But yeah, as a character, yeah, he's a little... The best characters in this show are wacky and cartoony with a solid core of heart. We haven't really seen his yet.
Yeah.
I hope we do in the second season.
He's had some good scenes.
Yeah.
He had that scene where he steals the horse. I love that. He's like,
he steals the horse. He sets the bank on fire. Gets a sword.
Yeah. I love fucking Tsunumi. Was it Tsunumi's response? No. Who was after him?
I think it was.
Yeah. He's like, that son of a bitch took my horse. I'm like, that's such a good response.
And he takes his hat.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh yeah. And his hat.
That's what it was.
And it's like, he took my horse. Well, I've got his hat. It's okay. And then there's the scene where you don't know it's him until you get the close up in that inn. And I love that. It's like like it's such a great fake out of using limited animation of like, oh, it's an old man. Oh no, it's the old man. Oh shit. Oh shit. But yeah, beyond that, yeah, I loved the twins, and I love how
The twins were fun.
yeah, the remaining twin has become this guy who's got to kill Sugimoto. I absolutely adore Tsunumi, and the main cast, our main group is just I love them, and I even love Eyebrows. The guy
He's
who
great.
The guy
I
who,
love him.
Yeah, the guy who defected from Tsunumi's team. He quickly was like kind of bland, and then he took these steps up almost immediately of being not the quirkiest character, not the deepest character, but this guy who gives a shit about these other people and is trying to do his best in a bad situation.
Yeah, with the stakeout with them at in the village. I
Yeah.
love that whole scene. That was really fun.
And yeah, even the dude that's trying to shoot him, he gets that fantastic line of like, "Man, that I would have had to kill the grandma. I love my grandma. Don't make me do that, dude." I'm like, God,
Yeah.
I love it.
We might have done this category a disservice by starting with Hinamatsuri, and now everything looks like hot bullshit in comparison.
Look, Hinamatsuri was probably always going to win.
Yeah.
Like, Hinamatsuri's cast is just too good.
I mean, that has that panning shot. I'm just like, the rock star dude.
Yep.
Every other member of the Yakuza's leader.
Yep.
So good.
Yeah, every character in that panning shot, like, yep, love them, love them, love them.
Love you.
Even the only two characters that I don't care for are those two boys. And
Yeah.
they still have funny jokes.
Yeah,
they still have
they're
these great
fine.
lines. They're just not as good as everybody else.
Yeah.
And even, oh my God, what about Glasses Girl?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh my God,
Yep.
she's so good. The way she tortures Hitomi is just
Yeah.
priceless.
No, I love seeing her get all flustered.
So, what else have we got here?
We haven't talked about Megalobox,
We have not.
which is also if anything, if I'm going to, my card's on the table, I think that's probably the second best. Is Megalobox's cast.
You've got Nanbu, you've got Yukiko, you've got Yuri, you've got, oh my God,
And
you've got
Sachio.
Sachio.
is so good by the end.
Yeah, had every reason to just be that annoying little
Totally.
kid tag along character.
You know, I feel like Sachio should have been mentioned in supporting characters, if only by value of the fact that he is a child character who you don't want to strangle to death at any point.
Yeah, that is a miracle. The scene with Nanbu and him in the car, like, this is all I can do, ya.
Yep.
That's so good. And then Yukiko taking him in, and just the way everybody is playing like off each other. Fucking what's his face? The guy that's still got the debt hold over Nanbu. I'm blanking on his name.
Anime John Hamm?
I loved him. He was just such a good, callous asshole, but he still had that transformation of, no, all right, you did it. I'm out.
Yeah. He's, oh my God. And Aragaki
Aragaki's so good. And then coming back.
and Mr. Miyagi.
Yeah, Mr. Miyagi showing up.
I mean, the only characters in that are kind of like, man, throwaway are Glenn Burrows and the Spider Dude, but they're supposed to just basically be like, okay, here's your guys to beat through.
Also, they're still fun every moment they're on screen.
Oh, yeah.
And God help me, Megalobox went out of their way. Like, nope, they speak in in Mexican, in
Mexican.
in Mexican Spanish. I was gonna say Mexican Spanish because there's also he speaks in Espanol, and Glenn Burrows speaks in English. Little not broken, just written with a
Just enunciated slightly strangely.
yeah. And it's really impressive, like the supporting cast in Megalobox.
Yeah, I'm starting to come around to the idea of that one as a runner-up, but let's talk about the only one we haven't talked about at all yet is My Hero Academia.
Oh, and that's one I wouldn't know, but I know that they have from what I have seen though, that seems like one of the best shonen ensembles in a long time.
100 by 100 miles.
Yeah.
No one nobody comes close because even its weakest characters still have these little quirks about them, no pun intended, that are really cute and fun. And God help us, in the latest season with the camp arc, we get to see a lot of those characters come to get to be bigger characters. You know, we get Kirishima having a huge part in with that with Bakugo. We see. Oh God.
And it very much is another one of those shows where I couldn't name half the characters.
Yeah. Well, everybody gets a scene. Everybody gets a little bit to show off. We get to see more with Tokuyami. We get to see more with some of Tetsu and the hand girl. It's just great because all these characters get this time to shine. Even Uraraka and Sue, like they're all great multifaceted characters, and there's a billion of them, and their designs, man.
Yeah, I will say that this season specifically, it has gone deeper into some of them in past seasons, but this season specifically, you say everybody gets a scene. Yeah, everybody gets a scene.
Yeah.
So I feel about it sort of the way I felt about Infinity War, where I saw it and admired the technical mastery of juggling all these balls, but it didn't make me feel a whole lot.
Yeah. It only made you feel for a couple of specific characters because they had to be at the forefront.
Yeah.
Bakugo, Deku, All
Spider-Man.
Might.
Yeah, and that's fine. But I think that's the difference between, say, a runner-up spot and a strong third spot.
Yeah. Whereas if you want to talk about characters, if you want to talk about again, amount of characters to the fulfillment, it's kind of weird. But yeah, I would definitely put it at my number 3. And at my number 2, I think I might have to put Megalobox as well.
Yeah, I think Hinamatsuri Megalobox.
I think that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Best Ensemble, Spring 2018, Hinamatsuri, runner-up, Megalobox. But now, we went narrow, we went broad. Let's try and find something in between. Let's talk about Best Couple.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And in past seasons, I've tried to be pretty strict about Best Romantic Couple. We had shit for romantic couples this time.
Oh, yep.
So now we're just talking about best couple of characters. They might be romantic, or, we might read a certain amount of romance in there that's maybe not quite in the text, but let's get real. They gonna fuck, though. Mm-hmm. Let's just jump right into it. Here's our nominees. We've got Yuri and Yukiko, Megalobox. Joe and Yuri, Megalobox.
Yeah.
Reinhard and Kirheis, Legend of the Galactic Heroes. Len and Pichon, Gun Gale Online. And Asurpa and Sugimoto from Golden Kamui.
So 3/5 of those are they fucking? So, okay. Yuri and Yukiko are an interesting couple because it's kind of a one-sided love that you find out, whereas she had fallen in love with Yuri over that time, and then when he leaves, she's kind of left bitter but unbroken.
Yeah, it's a really cool dynamic that I really like.
I appreciate him when he mentions that, he's doing this. Before he has that kind of shift, he's like, "No, I'm doing it because I want to make her happy. I want her to enjoy this. I'm doing this for her." And then he changes. And he's like, "What about our dream?" He was like, "That was your dream, and I have to do this instead." And I feel like that was something you don't see a lot.
I am very happy that his choice did not ultimately end with her failure.
Yeah.
I think that would have left a very bitter taste in my mouth because Yukiko did not deserve to be with Yuri in the long run because nobody deserves to be with somebody necessarily.
Yeah.
But she did deserve that contract. She did deserve her future, and she got that. It's a sad breakup because Yuri did what was best for him, good for him. And that came at the heartbreak of Yukiko, and I love that. I love that was a thing that is almost subtext up until the end.
Yeah. I think it's very tragic. I think that's something that you see in real life sometimes, where they shared a dream, they shared a mission. And you see this in older couples who all the kids have gone and they look around and realize, oh shit, that's all we had. And I don't think that has to be the case. I think it could have been yes, I do need to go do this for myself. I'm sorry, your dream, it turns out, was not my dream. It would have been nice to see if he had been able to come back and realize, but there's more. But there's still us. This wasn't that story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lennon Pichon,
Yeah.
do we want to try to argue for that, or is that a goof nominee?
I don't know if the gun ever comes back to talk, and if it's just a one-sided relationship, I think it's one of the more compelling ones. Because we get a whole episode of them, finding out that they're made for each other. I think that's very
Tyler turned on
Good.
his mic. I'm curious.
yeah.
It- just saying that brought up an idea, and it's almost nothing to do with this. Do you think Tokiyami or whatever the shadow guy is ever uses his shadow to jerk himself off? And if so, I'm gonna put my eggs in that basket.
I like to think that he's got his bedside lamp is a dimmer switch, so he can turn it darker when he needs it rough, and then turn it back up when he needs it gentle. That's my headcanon.
We're gonna just ignore the fact that he's like 14, and we're gonna move on from that subject. Thank you very much, Tyler. That's given us all something to think about, I think.
I love you.
Thank you.
I think the three that I'm looking at that I'm trying hard to know what order to put them in is Joe and Yuri, Reinhardt and Kierheis, and Serpa and Sugimoto.
I mean, if we want to talk about, he quit Yukiko because he had to give with that hotness. I mean,
Not wrong.
Can you blame him?
fucked so hard, put him in a wheelchair.
I know. Joe and Yuri exemplifies everything good about the lives of two people and how they work together to bring each other up. And they have both struggled and lost a lot throughout everything that they've had to do. And Yuri lost his own fair share of things. Joe is always striving to get to that level to where Yuri realized, he's put in all this work and I need to do that too. I've been kind of resting on my laurels here. And that is one of the most compelling things for me in any relationship, is seeing one person striving to be better and the other person matching them. Like, I'm going to lose weight because I want to feel better about myself, and the other partner going, I want to do that too. Or just that's one of the analogs I can think of, at least. And I love seeing couples do things that better themselves together. And I talk about this seriously because I think that is not, I think that's totally there.
Oh,
100%.
I don't think that's even a joke.
It's interesting because a lot of people talk about subtext, and a lot of people are like, they're just friends, and I'm like, yeah, but even straight male mangaka will write some subliminal stuff in there, because one of the interesting things about love, about passion, is this idea of this person completes me. And they're actually kind of big about single target sexuality. So there's literally a part of me that kind of sees this like, no, this man is the other half of me in a way. Do I think it's full on sexual romantic? I mean, there's always going to be that part of me that's like, no, kiss. I love what they do for each other. I think on a very pure level, it is a little romantic. And maybe not in a gay way, but definitely in this glint in their eyes, they look at each other and they see completeness.
I think that's a strong contender for the one spot.
I personally think so, but we haven't talked about the rest.
Let's take a look at
let's go through. Let's go from two people struggling to constantly surpass each other and then surpass each other again to two people with a very clear dynamic. Reinhardt and Kierheis.
This is some Dom sub shit right here, like hardcore.
And maybe this is a cop-out because I keep going back to this well, but I think this is something that I want to see more of, more than I think what we've got actually puts it in the highest echelons of this list.
As somebody who knows a little bit of what happens with them later on, this is a very interesting pick. I'm not going to spoil anything, obviously, but there's a lot about these two characters that is fascinating and very deep, and I really wish we could have gotten more of that, and I can't believe we're gonna honestly at this point I'm struggling not to watch this on High Dive. The only reason I haven't is that I don't have the time.
Yeah.
Because
It's an investment.
yeah, they're a very interesting, like from the first time they meet to where they are now. No, he's not leaving the room. He's going to be here while we do this.
Yeah, yeah.
And again,
I love that.
I cannot help but feel like he would do the same thing with a woman. Like, oh no, he's not leaving the room. He's watching.
I didn't even think about that.
Oh no, that's the first thing I thought
Well,
of.
I know it is. Yeah, but like I feel like the dynamic between these two is also to a lesser extent. Like you mentioned this like dark mirror of mentor pupil going on earlier. This is to a lesser degree, and I'm not sure if it's like insidious in a way, like how he sees Kierheis as someone beneath him, but also as someone he wants to bring up because he knows that Kierheis, regardless of his status, is better than any other noble.
Yeah,
is better than anyone else out there that he could be with.
Exactly, and that's why I don't think there is anything dark about it. I think it is full on. No, this is the only person in my life that I need. He is the person who I definitely think that he would sit side by side with him after a certain amount of time. I think he's trying to bring him up and push him to greatness. But if anything, if there's anything insidious about it, I can see him being like behind him is like, yes, this is mine. Do you see this greatness that I made?
Yeah, I think the reason why I see that darkness is not necessarily because it's inherent in the relationship or the dynamic, but because I see that darkness in Reinhard.
Yeah. And I think the property thing is definitely the most troubling part of it too, especially when you see him like brush his hair,
when he brushes his hair,
fixes them and everything.
I won't lie to you, so there's always going to be this part of me, and this is because, well, probably because I'm gay, that when I see stuff like that, there's this part of my mind I was like, okay, what is the author going for here? Is this diminutive or is this flirtatious? I think it's a little both.
I think so too, because I also think to times where my girlfriend's got to go, and I'm like, oh, hang on, let me fix that for you.
Yeah.
You look good. Go.
And here we just see this. We see this fondness, and again, there's this thing about single target sexuality that anime just kind of drives home, which let me tell you actually infuriates me. I hate single target sexuality. That's very rarely actually a thing in real life, but here, okay, it's not so much that it's rare. It's I'm getting tired of that being the only example of gay characters that we have. Oh no, he's just so good. He is the one. I'm only gay for him. I'm like, God damn it, no. But here, I get that feeling hard, like really hard.
And I think what elevates it a bit more is because of, honestly, the flashback. I feel like that flashback was one of the most interesting things to set up the story for me. I loved it.
I wholeheartedly agree.
Like seeing this dynamic that he's infatuated with this, like Kierheis is infatuated with this noble lifestyle, and look at how they live. Oh my God, his sister's really hot, but he's like, but Reinhard is the one who like is really caring for me, and I can tell that this is going to be something good if we keep this up.
I bet you though that Siegfried would be like, get with my sister. No, you two get together.
Yeah, like it's a really interesting relationship, and again, this is just more the case of I wish we had more.
Yeah.
I think going back to what we were talking earlier, whether it's diminutive, whether it's controlling or possessive, and that dark flip side of mentordom. I mean, when I moved out here to Dallas, I had a clear choice. I was choosing between two alternatives: move out here to Dallas and help lead this company, or move to Phoenix and work full-time for my mentor. And and I chose this, and there was no coming from him. There was no like, no, I need you here. No, you've got to be working for me, for my benefit. Like, I decided that this was best for me, and he was, like, not only supportive, like, passively supportive, but fully, like, yes, I believe you made the right decision. Despite the fact that that means I am losing a useful underling, if you will.
Yeah, I can see that if Kier Heist were to try and break away from Siegfried.
Yeah, I mean that's the test. And maybe like should that come up in the future, we shall see, but I don't imagine that being a good day.
Yeah.
Now, we have a Serpa and Sugimoto, which is
Yes.
blatantly non-romantic. And although there's a part of me that loves the idea that they just stick together forever. Like that.
Yeah, I can see this as, I don't know how long this story goes, but if years progress, I don't think it's out of their own possibility for it to become romantic.
Yeah, I mean, the age difference between them right now is significant because, hell, a 2-year age difference between what a Serpa is and another person can be huge.
Yeah.
But I do love the idea of them just being friends for a long time and being romantic later. Though that's not something I'm not shipping that. I'm not putting that out there as something I want. But that would be neat. That would be interesting. But I would love the idea that they just stick around as partners. Because let me tell you, if you want a power couple on this list,
yeah.
Totally.
if you want to talk about two people that not only help each other, they cover for each other's weaknesses, they prop each other up, they get each other what they want, they improve each other constantly. That is Sugimoto and Aserpa, and it's amazing.
I think that's what it comes down to, is this idea of these two people improving each other. And I think if the two that we pick are Joe and Yuri improving each other as a challenge, as an adversary, as a rival, and Aserpa and Sugimoto improving each other purely as complements, as partners, as two people who work together, I really like that.
Yeah. I personally, my number one pick is Aserpa and Sugimoto because they are this unstoppable couple, this pair. I mean, they've got Shiraishi who helps out, but it's just I feel like you could put these guys up against all of the odds and they go crazy and get out of it somehow, and that's why I love watching them. I love seeing all the crazy and cool ways that they deal with situations. The things that Aserpa has to teach her and the things he has to teach Aserpa. I love watching them develop.
It's tough for me to do the comparisons with the longer running shows just because we have a conclusion with Joe and Yuri. And I feel like that conclusion is what kind of cements this as they both got what they wanted, and it is because of both of them that they succeeded.
That's why, personally, if I had to choose, Super Sugimoto, Joe, and Yuri, because I love Joe and Yuri for the dynamic that they represent, and for the heights that they push each other, and the road they go to get there. But I am just blown away and enjoying and enthralled with Sugimoto and Aserpa. They bring me a joy. Constantly.
They're great.
I think what I said about Yuri and Yukiko sort of being like a couple that the kids grew up and moved away and they realized that that's all they had was that common cause. Joe and Yuri are kind of the opposite of that in the flash forward ending, where they're not staying together because they're real good at punching each other in the face.
They're friends.
Like they reach that next level. And I hope and believe that Aserpa and Sugi can be exactly that.
Yeah.
But right now they do still have this common cause. It's not yet entirely about their relationship with each other. And I think that's what, as of what we have to judge on this season, I think that's what pushes Joe and Yuri just slightly above.
That's where I'm at personally too, and like it's just a weird scenario we're in because we have two ongoing things against one that had an ending.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know if the second season of Golden Kamuy is going to give us an ending. Probably
Yeah,
not.
I doubt it.
But
Oh no, the manga is still going.
Then no, it won't.
Yeah, but we kind of have to. We kind of have to play with the pieces that are in front of us. I think there is. Should that story ever come to a conclusion, I would love to revisit this and see how we feel comparing apples to apples. But as it is right now, I think it's got to be Joe and Yuri, Asurpa and Sugimoto.
I disagree.
That's
but,
where I'm at too.
I mean, I honestly, I don't like. I don't. Man, I'm getting 2v1 constantly here.
A little bit. I mean, always by the slimmest of butt hairs.
Yeah, well, obviously, since I haven't fought a lot of these, I've had differing opinions. Here, I actually feel rather opposite because, well,
I'm still not entirely sure that I follow the reasoning. So walk me through it again.
Because while Joe and Yuri have a finale to their, it's like they came together. They as a couple really only happened kind of later, and they came together to push themselves, and then they stayed together as friends after everything was over. And if you want to read in something romantic, like literally a full-on romantic, that's you. I will say, like, you know, for the heteronormativity of our audience, they're friends, but their highs don't quite reach the highs for me that I'm getting, or at least not as consistently as I'm getting with, say, Asurpa and Sugimoto.
I think that's where I disagree.
Yeah, 100%. Like consistently, sure, because it's over a longer
Well, yeah,
period
and
of
that-
time.
and that's-
But the highs, nuh-uh.
Yeah, okay. The highs of Joe and Yuri are ridiculously high. Maybe what I should have said was, like, if I had, like, so far in this one season, I've gotten more out of Asurpa and Sugimoto than I have Joe and Yuri. Now, the highs with Joe and Yuri, yeah, okay, definitely higher than Sugimoto and Asurpa. But I'm just gonna go with I have to go personally with what I've gotten the most out of, and it's not them. Like they're again, the highs don't match the consistency of the other two for me.
I think, like, in terms of screen time by volume, like, yeah, absolutely. But in terms of what they've been through, if you look at it from their perspective, like, they've both been to the edge together and come through that together.
And that's true. So again, this one's difficult for me. Again, I feel really strongly about this, but it's also a feeling. It's this gut feeling that drives me to be like, no, it's Asurpa and Sugimoto. But that's just because, but theirs are still ongoing. Like, I'm gonna get more of that. For Joe and Yuri, they're done.
And I think it's absolutely possible that Asurpa and Sugimoto will reach those same highs, but I don't think they've been there yet.
No. Well, again, that was my argument.
I think I get what you're saying with we have a machine gun going on with Asurpa and Sugimoto, constantly good, always on mark. But we have bombs of Joe and Yuri of, no, you get up. No, you drink this fucking water, so I don't want to hear anything when Joe fucks your ass so hard you can't walk.
No, yeah, you've got a sniper up there just headshotting dudes. Like, I don't need to waste bullets, man. I've got these.
And I feel like the greater impact of those moments does more for me, I think, Ben.
Yeah.
That those were just so above everything else that I appreciate the consistency, and I God, I love Usurper and Sugimoto. They're fantastic. Every time I love the food porn segments. They're like learning each other, like sharing culture and everything, and how they're learning more about each other, and how he slowly like starts respecting the Ainu stuff for having like been like totally ignorant about all of it.
Yeah,
that's so cool. How they're bettering each other culturally, in combat, in socially, like everything. They are improving each other.
Keep making my point for me.
But Joe and Yuri are the best. But they're just like, I feel like it really just kind of comes down to the fact that they had a conclusion, and I think their conclusion was stellar.
Yep.
Well,
congratulations. Spring 2018, best couple, Joe and Yuri of Megalobox. Strong runner-up, Usurpa and Sugimoto from Golden Kamuy.
oh yeah, put in strong runner-up to make me feel better.
Give it a strong 9.
9.5,
there's-
motherfucker.
Yo, there's shit on this list that we're like, okay, this is the winner. Let's talk about all this other bullshit. This
Yeah.
was not that.
No.
Yeah.